Okay, here we go. Ah, we have made it to episode 11 of the domination rankings of everything. Others would feel compelled to clap there, guys. Very nice. Very nice. No claps heard. That's okay. Thank you for the rousing round of applause, though. This show gives you a weekly top 25 of the most dominant things in the world, including absolutely everything together, according to our voters. But first, our co hosts will each zealously and earnestly advocate for the entry into the top 25 of two things for which they have immense passion and knowledge. Did I just say immense passion and knowledge? Well, that's because I mean immense passion and knowledge. We have Mike Hurley, a humor writer, who will spew his immense knowledge of the Goodyear Blimp and Joey Chestnut. How are we doing, Mike?
We're doing great, and you're going to see how Joey Chestnut and the Blimp kind of go together. If you could tell by all his eating, I tried over the weekend to blimp myself up by eating as many hot dogs as possible. So here we go.
Good for you. That's as you should. And we also have the multi-talented Tim Nigro, who will advocate for the entry into the top 25 of two of his passions, for which he has, yes, immense expertise: the
Hey,
piano and Bitcoin. What's up, Tim?
what is up, Dave? Thank you. Hey everyone. You probably recognize me from absolutely nowhere, but we're gonna change that today. We're gonna change it today.
But look at that hair. That's got to
That's
be
Thank
from
you.
nice.
somewhere.
All right,
Hair
then
gel.
there's super duper intern Isabella Souto. How's it going, Isabella?
Well, Dave, I haven't messed up yet, so I'd say it's going quite well.
I agree. And hey, no pressure. Oh, and then there's me, Dave Barend, Grand Poobah of College Basketball Times, which is where the domination rankings originated. But for just basketball, which we have expanded just a bit to include absolutely everything. Thus, the domination rankings of everything together. And now, super duper intern Isabella will explain how things are going to work. Take it away, Isabella. It's your time to shine.
Thanks, Dave.
No pressure.
Appreciate it, Dave.
Just one more thing.
Yes, Dave.
Whatever you do, don't mess up.
Okay, so here's how it works. We'll start with 3 rounds of debate as to which 3 new things should be added to the top 25. But that means 3 things have to come out of the top 25. So after the debates, I will then reveal the latest top 25 according to our many voters, and it's the last 3 things on the voters' top 25 that will be cut.
Got it. So, Isabella, what do we have for round one of the debates?
We have Dave as the judge, with Mike arguing for Joey Chestnut and Tim arguing for the piano.
All right, take it away, Mike.
All right. So let me paint a picture. Back in 2005, there was a skinny kid from San Jose State University who entered a competitive eating contest that he won by eating 6.5 pounds of fried asparagus in 11 and a half minutes, which qualified him for his first Nathan's hot dog eating contest. And that was the beginning of the legend of Joey Chestnut. Now he came in third place that first year in the Nathan's hot dog eating championship to a guy named Kobayashi. But just 2 years later, Chestnut defeated that six-time champion by eating 66 hot dogs in 12 minutes and was awarded his first mustard belt. Now, he became a force, becoming the number one ranked person in Major League eating, which is huge. And he's won 17 mustard belts since then. Now, viewership for Nathan's famous hot dog contest is in the millions. People are watching every 4th of July, tuning in to the most exciting sport out there.
All
So,
right,
Joey Chestnut for the win.
take it away, Tim.
Hey everyone. So I play piano, I teach piano, I live, I sleep, I eat piano. Pianos were invented 1700s. It's a string instrument. It's a percussion instrument. It's a two-for-one instrument. Okay, you don't get that with saxophone, Dave. I'll tell you that much, right? And learning piano, it enhances your ability to learn languages. God knows what happened to me in ninth grade Spanish. Have no clue. Uh, it's used in a wide variety of genres, other instruments like saxophone, violin, As you can see, there's a theme there. I don't like the saxophone. Cannot do that. And I'll tell you a few important people that play piano. You got Mozart, you got Bach, you got Chopin, you got Liszt. And I'll tell you, you got Pope Leo the 14th. He plays piano. Popes play piano. What's better than that? You can take a piano, drop it down a mine shaft, and you know what you get? A flat minor. And uh,
Oof.
lastly, you can't tune a fish, but you know you can tune, Dave, a piano.
There you go. All right.
Yeah, you know what? I took piano lessons when I was a kid, and so did most people. And guess what? 90% or more suck at piano. What happens to those other small percentage of people? They become piano teachers. Congratulations. There you go. They become piano teachers.
Well,
So,
Mike,
just to ruin everybody else's life with their kids running around playing piano.
I hate to ruin your day here, but I know you like to watch Joey Chestnut, but watching piano way more interesting than watching Joey Chestnut. The guy looks like Jabba the Hutt from episode 6 of Return to the Jedi, gobbling down glizzies, Mike. I don't like to watch that. I like to watch people play the keys.
What is better? You're right. What's better than going to your child's piano recital? Oh, wait, everything's better than that because that's the worst 2 hours of your life you're going to spend listening to kids banging out Mary Had a Little Lamb for 3 hours. It's the worst. But what's the best? Joey Chestnut gobbling down 70 hot dogs in 10 minutes.
It doesn't give you high cholesterol, though, Mike. There's no high cholesterol from playing the keys.
You know why Joey Chestnut's awesome? Not because of his multi world records that he holds, but because he's also a ladies' man. And Dave, I remember a couple episodes ago you said, "What's better than dating apps? Shrimp cocktail." What if you were able to gobble down close to 19 pounds of shrimp cocktail in 8 minutes? That would really make you quite the ladies' man right there, I would say.
I don't know about that. I don't know if putting on those extra pounds makes you a ladies' man, but I'll tell you what makes you a ladies' man. Tickling those ivories, Mike. That's what makes you a ladies' man. You ever watch those movies? You ever watch La La Land in that show? How do you get the girls? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mary Had a Little
Okay, you
Lamb.
want
That's where it
to
all
you want to
started.
tickle those ivories? Where are you getting those ivories from? You going over to Africa, poaching some elephants, those endangered species over there, just so you could get their tusks back for your precious piano keys? I think not. That's a horrible way to spend time.
Unfortunately, not anymore. They're mostly made of plastic. That's good for the environment.
Okay, well, let me tell you one thing about pianos. They're super dangerous. Over the past couple decades, more than 26 people have died in piano accidents. The worst being at a strip club where a bouncer was having sex with a stripper on a piano that would move up and down on the stage. In the fit of passion, they clicked the on button to raise it up and they got squished on the ceiling. A dead bouncer on top of a stripper because of what? A piano. Pianos are killers.
Like, I'm sorry, but I think Joey Chestnut is promoting people to overeat. He's promoting people to suck down hot dogs, raise their cholesterol. He's the reason why there's so many children in the United States that are overweight. It's all because of Joey Chestnut. The piano teaches them language, it teaches them skills. Tickling those ivories is better than gobbling down those hot dogs, Mike.
All right, let me give you one last thing why Joey Chestnut's
All
the
right,
best.
one more
Because
round,
of his
guys.
nickname. His nickname is Jaws. You know who else has a nickname Jaws? People like three-time Winston Cup champion Darrell Waltrip, Ron Jaworski, who led the Eagles to their first Super Bowl. How about the fictional James Bond character in Spy Who Loved Me? Jaws, 7'2" guy with the big metal teeth, or even Bruce the Mechanical Shark from Jaws, the movie Jaws. Jaws is awesome. Joey Chestnut for the win.
All right. Here's my decision. This was well fought, guys. Clint Eastwood once said, "Nobody puts ketchup on a hot dog." But he should have said, "Nobody puts a hot dog in water," like Joey Chestnut. I mean, imagine being at a party and they're serving hot dogs and they ask, "Would you like mustard, relish?" Nah. You got a spigot? I mean, in addition, nobody eats a hot dog and then the bun. That's like deciding to play basketball, taking a shot, and then going to find a ball to play with. As for pianos, are we talking about a Steinway or some rundown piece of crap upright from my high school that had previously done a stint in a Dodge City saloon? And who's playing it? Mozart or my 5-year-old nephew, who I'm forced to listen to for 10 minutes, like Twinkle Twinkle Little Star? There's a song that never needed an extended version. So you don't know what you're getting with a piano. But with Joey Chestnut, what you see is what you get, and I don't know if that's good. He makes over $500,000 a year and refuses to fix the mess in his mouth he calls teeth. Those things look like my grandmother's toes. And anyone who is okay with that, well, he's okay with me. Joey Chestnut wins.
Woo! There we go.
All right, we are on to round 2, and we're actually a couple minutes ahead. All right, here we go. What do we got, Isabella?
For round 2, we have the judge is Mike, and we are arguing Bitcoin versus cereal. And Tim has Bitcoin and Dave has cereal.
Tim, you're leading off.
All right. So I actually did my thesis on this, published a book on central bank digital currencies. Bitcoin, first digital currency, frees people from government censorship. It gives people freedom to privately make transactions, and it's divisible up to 100 decimal points, unlike U.S. currency, which you go down by the penny, and divisible up to 100 decimal points, just apparently like my heart. Those ladies that are listening know. And lastly, it doesn't jiggle around. No one really likes spare change, Dave. They don't like spare change at all. You go anywhere. People say, "Oh, I'll keep the cent." You don't want the cent. You know what doesn't jiggle around your pocket with spare change? Bitcoin. Boom. No spare change. Doesn't jiggle around. It's right here on your mobile device. Can't get that anywhere else.
All right. One night, my mom arrived home with, no, not a puppy, something even better. Captain Crunch's Crunch Berries. All I had to do was wake up before my sister, and I'd enjoy the combo of crunch and berry. But also, I'd get myself a prize, a joy that Tim's stupid ass generation ruined because they couldn't figure out you don't eat the damn prize. Well, it looks like a whistle. It sounds like a whistle, but it's right next to all these crunch berries. Maybe I should just swallow it. But crunch berries still come with something else. Nutritional value. Yeah, if you're going to call them a sugar cereal, you also need to call them a riboflavin cereal with 25% of the daily recommended amount. Cocoa Pebbles, 20% zinc. Frosted Flakes, 10% vitamin D. Cinnamon Toast Crunch, 20% iron. Lucky Charms, 11% folic acid. And Fruit Loops, 10% thiamine. And much like Bitcoin, I have no idea what thiamine is. But I do know that if I just have 10 bowls of Fruit Loops, I don't have to worry about thiamine for the rest of the day. What do you got, Tim?
Dave, you make some good points there, but you know what's full of artificial ingredients? I'll tell you, not Bitcoin, it's cereal. Dave, you make some great points, but it's time we all say Cheerio to your Cheerio addiction. Okay. It's making the kids fat. And while, fat kids are cute, they're fat. That's not okay. The brands prey on our belief in them as being good to start the day. And then you get companies like Quaker Oats and Post Cereal, Dave. And you know what they do? They recall their cereals for health risks.
All right.
One study found.
What about the cereal box, which served as a wall to shield me from my sister's face, filled with headgear and braces, and are slurring and drooling? Please pass the cranberry, please. Pass the cranberry. I said, please. No, I'm not drooling. When I speak, I spit.
Dave, you know what they found in that cereal when they recalled it? I'll tell you. Lucky the leprechaun didn't find gold. He found lead. Okay, that's what's in that box. And I'm sorry for all the cereal lovers out there, Dave, but you can't put the milk in before the cereal. But the second time, when you add more cereal, it's perfectly fine. overall, it's not the breakfast of champions. It's the breakfast of diabetes, Dave.
All right, all right, all right. You're ripping on my cereal. Let's talk about Bitcoin. About 80% of Bitcoin holders are at a loss. Much like I'm at a loss how this is even a contest. Last year, Bitcoin fraud accounted for, wait for it, $14.5 billion lost, which is only slightly more than my wife gave to some Nigerian prince.
Well, that might be true, but you know who's committing more fraud? The cereal companies. 100% of their market is fraud, Dave. The Bitcoin market, maybe it's 10%. Maybe there's 10% of people committing fraud. That's not too bad. That's not too bad. That's like government numbers, right? But I'll tell you, 100%, that's messed up. And the cereal companies are doing
All right.
that.
Let's talk about the amazingness of the back of the cereal box, which got kids everywhere to read. Educators across the country are trying to figure out how to get kids to read Shakespeare and the classics. Put them on the back of a Cocoa Puffs. A family-sized box of Rice Krispies, perfect for War and Peace.
I don't think about that. I think teach them financial responsibility. Give them a Bitcoin. It grows in value. It goes up, it goes down. But I'll tell you what, it's going up right now, $110,000.
You
In
are here.
2009, it was zero.
Warren Buffett called Bitcoin rat poison squared, whereas Jimmy Buffett called it a lost shaker of salt. But, he was just wasting away. Jamie Dimon of JP Morgan called Bitcoin a fraud. And then what did JP Morgan do? It started offering Bitcoin services. What more evidence of fraud do you need than it's offered by JP Morgan?
Well, Dave, I don't know how to respond to that since I applied to a position with JP Morgan Chase. So I think I think
Have
that
to edit that out.
we gotta edit that out. I think that it's not fraud. It's just that people don't understand. Go read my book, Dave. You'll understand. You'll get it. You'll get it.
Bitcoin goes by BTC because BC would sound too much like what it really is. BS. A single Bitcoin transaction uses as much energy as a US household does in 2 to 3 weeks and does the same damage to the environment as driving a car for 1,000 miles. Bitcoin's motto should be, we'll steal your money, but we'll also kill the planet.
Well, Dave, I don't think it's going to kill the planet, but I'll tell you what will is the crap you're putting in to your body from cereals. Like you said, you don't understand Bitcoin and you don't even understand what you're eating. What's worse, not knowing what you put in your mouth, not knowing what you invest in. I'll tell you what's worse. What goes in your body, Dave.
All right. I've definitely
you
done
guys-
the research on Bitcoin, and I can definitely tell you absolutely nothing. Well, other than it's a joke. I mean, it's right in the name, bit, a joke right there. It's also called crypto, short for cryptic, because nobody knows what the hell it is. It was created by a group called Satoshi Nakamoto, which means nobody knows.
All right.
Exactly.
All right.
When I was
All
writing
right,
my
Mike, you
paper,
ready?
I got a knock from him and he said, knock, knock. I said, who's there? And he said, no one knows.
All right. Compelling arguments from both of you. And I have to say, I'm a big fan of Captain Crunch. But you know what Captain Crunch does? It tears the roof of your mouth apart when you're trying to eat that stuff unless you let it sit there and get soggy. Also, what I've learned about the cereal industry, my vast research, is that all the good cereals are going away and everybody's moving towards things like Fiber One brand and things like that. Horrible, horrible, disgusting. And what's with those mascots? There's a Quaker guy, and then there's some cranked up cuckoo bird named Sunny running around. I don't know. I don't know about cereal. But what I also don't know about is Bitcoin because I'm over 50 and I have no idea what it is. And what I also learned is a lot of people could get into cryptocurrency. Anyone could get into cryptocurrency. You could be Iggy Azalea or Caitlyn Jenner or some other crazy person like Tom Brady and get into cryptocurrency. Just anybody could just create their own currency. Doesn't make any sense for people. And other weird currencies are out there. Loser coin, panda coin, wolf safe poor people token. What the heck is going on in that? So while I do have to say my best childhood memories were eating sugary cereal, sitting in front and just watching cartoons, it's got to win over Bitcoin because I didn't do anything with Bitcoin when I was 10 years old that made anything good.
All right,
We'll take the dub bit by bit,
Let's
bit by
keep it
bit.
moving. Somehow we got behind schedule now. All right. What do we got, Ava? Ava. Really, you should change your name to Ava. Isabella, what do
I'll
we
work
got?
on that.
Yeah.
That's my bad. Round three, we have the judges Tim, and Dave is arguing ESPN, and Mike is arguing the Goodyear Blimp.
All right. When my daughter was about 2 years old, tragedy struck. My cable went out. That left me with a question. Why, God, why? He did not have an answer, but he blessed me with a solution. Find a bar that has ESPN. Long story short, that's when my daughter learned three things. One, refs suck. Two, never bet against a home dog in the snow. And two, I can't live without ESPN. That's not just a quote from me, though, but from every man in the world since 1979. But now it's so much more than just ESPN. There's ESPNU for college fan, ESPN Deportes for Spanish fans, ESPN Plus for fat fans, and the ESPYs, which is next week for every person in the world with even a modicum of fame. Thus, I was not invited. But it actually created one of the most memorable sporting events ever, Jimmy V's speech, whereas the Goodyear Blimp wasn't even part of the only memorable moment in the history of blimps, ceding the glory to the Hindenburg. So Goodyear Blimp missed its moment, but ESPN keeps getting more.
All right. If you're talking about great sporting events, you know what? ESPN right now, they're going up against all these other streaming services and Amazon and Paramount and Netflix and Apple and all these things. But you know who's at all the great sporting events? The Goodyear Blimp. The Goodyear Blimp is at the Super Bowl, the Daytona 500, the Kentucky Derby, the Olympics, the World Series, the Rose Bowl, the Indy 500, the PGA Championship, the Boston Marathon, Monday Night Football, Lollapalooza, the Academy Awards, the Little League World Series, WrestleMania. The Goodyear Blimp, if you look up, if you're somewhere awesome and you look up in the sky, guess what you're going to see? You're going to see the Goodyear Blimp, right? That's what's up in front of you. Now, we could talk about, for our sake here, we're talking about all kinds of things that are the same. Blimps, dirigibles, zeppelins, airships. For our purposes, no one knows the difference of what they are, so we're all calling that the blimp. So as you're going through and you're seeing that awesome blimp up in the sky, you could say, thank you, Goodyear, for 100 years of supplying us with goodwill with the Goodyear Blimp.
All right. The ESPN Sports Center theme is so recognizable, it's even more recognizable than Hotel California, American Pie, and Imagine by John Lennon. It's barely below the Star Spangled Banner, which most men would replace the sports with the Sports Center theme. And how great would that be? A singer comes to the World Series and just belts out da 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 da.
Well, ESPN used to be good, right? ESPN used to be good back when, they had people like Dan Patrick. When you can't stop them, you can only hope to contain them. And Stuart Scott, who's cool as the other side of the pillow. But now what do you got? You got nobody left. Stephen A. Smith, that's who you're going with? Jason Whitlock said that he dumbed down the standards of American culture by himself. I don't know where you're going with ESPN. There's nobody left.
First of all, you are crapping on the next president of the United States, Stephen A. Smith. But we also have
Could be.
Chris Boomer Berman, who gave us Rumbling, Bumbling, Stumbling. He could go all the way. And of course, nobody circles the wagons like Dave Barend's Buffalo Bills.
You know how bad ESPN's gotten? They've gone to now putting on air such great competitions as corgi racing, stone skipping, shin kicking, pillow fighting, slippery stairs. These are the kinds of things that people want to watch because they ran out. Because all these other streaming services took all the good sports away from them. They're starting over again with a bunch of junk.
ESPN is the worldwide leader in sports, whereas the Goodyear Blimp, much like Bitcoin, is a fraud. It's not even a blimp. What makes a blimp is essentially it's a balloon, nothing inside. This thing has an entire inner structure. That'd be like filling the Grand Canyon and then calling it the Grand Canyon.
You know what the Goodyear Blimp did? The Goodyear Blimp helped us during World War II. You know how many ships got destroyed when they were on that convoy? 0. You know what else they helped with? Disaster relief. During the World Series back in 1993 when there was an earthquake, the Goodyear Blimp was up there telling the emergency vehicles where to go. And after hurricanes, they're up there flashing signs of numbers to call for help on
All
there.
right.
The Goodyear
My
blimp
last
saves
point here.
people's lives.
Goodyear knew about tire defects that led to countless fatalities. Just last year, 3 authorities raided Goodyear for charges of involuntary manslaughter. So if you're going to have the Goodyear blimp on here, we might as well have my childhood hero, O.J. Simpson. Tim, you got yourself a
No,
decision.
wait. I got one
All
more.
right.
I got one more. Blimps are featured in some of the most famous movies ever. Not only Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade or The Mummy Returns or Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, but remember Carl from Up, who worshipped adventurer Carl Muntz and his daring dirigible exploits, the spirit of adventure. That is what blimps bring us.
All right, Tim, give us a
All right, all
decision
right.
here.
The ruling is in. Dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun. ESPN takes the win. I'm sorry.
Oh.
The Goodyear blimp was overhyped, just like the Hindenburg, and it just blew up like the balloon in Up. I'm sorry, Mike, but ESPN, it's almost as important as fire for every single person in North America, especially. So I think it takes the dub.
All right, we are on to the top 25. Isabella, are you ready to rattle this off?
I am ready.
All right, so now the bottom 3 are going to be out and replaced by our new 3. Hit it, Isabella.
All right, 25 is Star Wars, now replaced with ESPN. 24 is Rome, now replaced
I
with
love Rome. I love Rome,
As
despite
do
the
I.
fact that's where I went for my honeymoon.
23 is now Joey Chestnut.
It was pasta.
Yes, was pasta. Thank
He
you.
ate all the pasta. That's why he took over.
All right.
22 is The Simpsons.
You got to believe this drop was based on the sadness caused by the recent episode about Marge's death. And to those people, I say, she didn't really die. And 2, she's just a cartoon.
At 21, we have beer. At 20, we have Spotify, which is up 2. And I'm not sure why the voters bumped it up, but I'm just going to assume it's because Spotify has the domination rankings of everything podcast. I mean, what other reason could there be?
Very nice. Very nice.
19 is Caitlin Clark. 18 is Leg Day. 17 is childbirth.
You know, childbirth moved down 4 spots this week. And I think I know why. I just read that new IVF technology allows you to choose things like your child's hair color, height, even cognitive ability, which takes all the fun out of having a baby and the anticipation of finding out if your child's going to be the next Elon Musk or a future contestant on Love Island.
At 16, we have eggs. 15, New York City. 14, Elvis. 13, bachelor parties. 12, TV.
TV's another one that went down 2 spots, and I don't know how it went down in the rankings because I was just talking to my mom the other day. She was telling me how much her and my dad love watching Family Feud. My mom said, "Your father just loves that Steve Harvey. He's so funny."
11, we have a good bowel movement. 10, Instagram.
Oh yeah, super cool platform. You know, it's more sophisticated than Facebook. Anyone is on Instagram. I think it's better than cringy TikTok. And you know, Mark Zuckerberg bought it for $1 million. But Mark, if you're listening, I hate to tell you, it's free on the App Store.
At 9, we have pizza. 8, air conditioning. 7, we have Jesus, which has stayed the same. And lots of comments on our TikTok post about Jesus. Some saying he's too low or some saying he's too high, which has led to our new motto for the domination rankings. We please absolutely nobody. So, 6, we have making people laugh. 5, we have sleep.
Oh yeah, sleep. That's a great one. You know, I was actually just at my doctor recently and I told him, I said, when I wake up in the morning, I have this sharp pain in my back. So now I just wake up in the afternoon. But in all seriousness, that was a joke. But I used to sleepwalk, so now I sleep next to a bike.
There you go. 4 is sex. 3 is indoor plumbing. 2, summertime.
Oh, we're
And
on to number 1. What do we
number
got?
1 is deodorant.
Deodorant up 4. A massive jump for deodorant, likely brought about by our voters being around people without. All right, there you have it, folks. Another episode in the books of the domination rankings of everything. And I think once again, we did not suck. That is our bar that we try to keep meeting. Good enough. Thank you. And we are out of here.
Great job. See you guys.